Hello my friends, and welcome to this part of our writing course into which we are going to discuss punctuation marks, go through them one by one and know how to use them in order to make our pieces of writing, whether they are paragraphs, essays, articles, or any other type of pieces of writing, professional. As you see here, my friends, I have divided this course into two parts. The first part starts from the period till the quotation marks, while the second part is going to start from the braces and ends at the double dagger. To tell the truth, my friends, the idea of this course came from an article I have read about 3 or 4 months ago in one of the famous periodics that is interested in English literature, and highlighted that more than 90% of English learners, whether those who are learning English for academic reasons, for example, to take the IELTS, the TOEFL, the PTE, or the proficiency exams of the universities, or those who want to prepare their thesis in master degree or PhD, or even publish some articles, or they are even interested in English literature, or those who are learning English to develop their writing skills. More than 90% of them, my friends, couldn't recognize how to use most of the common punctuation marks, like the question mark, like the exclamation point, the dash, and some of them didn't know even what the semicolon is. In this course, my friends, we are going to have classes, separated and independent ones. In each class, we are going to take one of these punctuation marks in isolation, study it, dissect it into depth, and know when to use it and when not to use it, and the most common mistakes some students have been making in the IELTS, PTE, TOEFL, and proficiency exams, or those who are publishing their articles in the most famous periodics in the world. Now, my friends, which one of these punctuation mark we are going to talk about today? I will give you the choice to choose. Well, correct. We are going to talk about this one. Now, my friends, let's start talk about it and dissect it into depth. Now, my friends, we are going to start with the first one, which is the dash. Allow me, before I start talking about the dash, to explain very important points about it. The first point, my friends, is that the dash is very important for both readers and writers who are interested in narrative pieces of writings like paragraphs, essays, articles, or even novels, especially for those writers who want to convey an emotional message to their readers, or the readers who want to understand the feelings of the characters in a novel or any other narrative pieces of writing. The second point, my friends, is that contrary to what a lot of students have thought, that we have only one type of dash and it is only the dash, the normal dash, well, surprise, surprise, we have two types of dashes. The first one is the long dash, or we call it EM dash. The second one is called the short dash, or the EN dash. I'm going to start talking about the first one, which is the long dash, EM, and I will explain its uses. After that, I will explain the other one. Let's start, my friends, here with the EM dash. The dash is generally, my friend, a horizontal punctuation mark longer than a hyphen. Generally, the EM dash and the EN dash generally are longer than the hyphen, and here they are used to create a break or a pause in a sentence. As we said before, it's an emotional one, just like the exclamation point, and the dash is generally, my friends, more emphatic than a comma, and that means that it's stronger in terms of making the pause, but it is still less final than the period which means when you stop reading on a period, you give the period longer time than the dash. And here, my friends, let's talk about the EM dash and its uses. The first one here, my friends, is to indicate a parenthetical or an explanatory information with more emphasis than a comma or parenthesis. And here, my friends, I have this example and I will read it emotionally. My friends Richard and John stood by me during those hard days. Generally, my friends, in here the writer wants to emphasize that only those two people, John and Richard, stood next to him or next to her during a hard time. And here, my friends, we make long pauses. We say, my friends Richard and John. In here to emphasize, then I continue, stood by me during those hard days. The second use, my friends, here is that we use the EM dash to indicate a sudden break or change in thought. Generally, my friends, the novelist always tries to make his or her novel looks like a real situation, to make the reader enters to the world of the story. In here, for example, my friends, we have two people. The first one wants to tell the other one something, and then for example, in the last moment, in the last second, the speaker decides not to tell what he or she wanted to say. Say, for example, here, I was about to say, oh, never mind. This way, we read the sentence again. I was about to say something, oh, never mind. In here, my friends, we have the other example. You promised me a new bike. For how long should I wait? In here, I give a pause like a child talking to his father, trying to express a kind of frustration or annoying. And here, my friends, this third use is to create a dramatic pause or afterthought. In here, my friends, just like the previous one, I can read it emotionally. I say, I think I locked the door. Well, at least I hope I did. In here, my friends, this helps the reader to understand the feelings, the confusion of the character saying this line. The second example here, my friends, we finally accomplished our lifelong dream to graduate from university. Again, my friends, I repeat, we finally accomplished our lifelong dream to graduate from university. Again, my friends, in here, I give a pause in order to show the listener or the reader that what comes after it, the dash, is very important. The fourth and the final use of the EM dash, which I would like to discuss here, was discussed previously to introduce a list or an example or an explanation. And in here, my friends, I would like to remind you that we discussed the same point while discussing compound sentences and how to link two independent clauses inside one compound sentence. I think it was class 6 or 7, I don't remember. And we said that we can use colon or a dash interchangeably for these purposes. I will give some examples here, my friends. Example number 1, we will need to buy sugar, cheese, coffee, and some herbal tea. In here, my friends, I use it to start a list. Another one here to give an explanation. I say IELTS exam is not impossible. Mr. Odate can help us to get a high score with his techniques. In here, my friends, I am explaining why the IELTS exam is not impossible. This is the first independent clause, which represents a general statement, and this one here, my friend, represents the explanation of the first one, which is the other independent clause. In here, the third example, mammals are not always social creatures. For examples, in here, my friends, we give a pause like we are giving example. Dogs don't live in groups. And my friends, we still have the short dash, which is called the en dash, and it has only two uses. Again, my friends, I would like to remind you that it is shorter than the long dash or the em dash, but still it is longer than the hyphen. And in here, my friends, we have two uses for it. The first one is to indicate ranges, like the example, I lived in Canada from 2004 till 2016, or we give it for pages 65 to 83. The second use, my friends, is to connect two nouns of equal weight, which refers to the fact that these two nouns combined by the short or the en dash should be from the same, for example, let's say classification, like two cities. We have the New York-London flight, a teacher-student relationship or friendship. Generally, my friends, the two words are closely related to one another. Well, that's it for today. My friends, I hope that you have enjoyed watching this video and learned how to use the punctuation mark we explained today. And I hope, my friends, that in the future you are going to be capable of using this punctuation mark correctly and precisely and accurately in the pieces of writing you are going to go through in the future. Again, my friends, allow me before I finish this class to remind you of the importance of punctuation marks course for all English learners, whether those who are preparing for their TOEFL, IELTS, PTE, or proficiency exams, or those who are writing their thesis, articles for PhD and master degree. And also, my friends, for those who are looking for a good job and to improve their careers, which are related to writing. For us, my friends, the English people, punctuation marks are very important, so be careful while using them. So, my friends, if you haven't understood one of the points or one of the uses of the punctuation mark we have talked about today, please try to play this video again and try to play some Kahoot games which are going to be related to the same punctuation mark. Again, my friends, study harder to get better. Thank you and see you in the next class. Goodbye.